So as we always say, if you think the media isn't covering something correctly, if you think we're leaving something out or we're just missing a big part of the story, let me know and we'll discuss it. And tonight is a perfect example of that. See, it is pretty clear you want to talk about balloon releases. Let me tee this up just a bit. WRAL's most recent documentary focused on the safe storage of guns, and producer Kristen Severance profiled this young girl who died when another kid took a gun from his grandfather's safe and it led to a tragic accident. This story is heartbreaking and impactful and important, and you should watch it. But there was one specific part that got a lot of attention from some people: the balloon release, a symbolic act of letting go. We see this sort of thing a lot, especially when people die tragically, especially when those people are kids. And without fail, every time we air a balloon release, I get a lot of emails. Holly said, balloon releases are an environmental nightmare. Ann said, it makes me cringe to think of the harm it causes to the environment. And Jennifer said, I learned about the negatives of balloon releases in elementary school. I'm 47, time to educate a new generation. So, first of all, Jennifer, let's be careful here, all right? Our generation isn't exactly known for its conservation. For instance, in 1986, a few years after Jennifer was in elementary school, we witnessed Balloon Fest, a plan to promote the city of Cleveland by inflating more than 1 million balloons, filling a net the size of a city block, and then letting them fly.
And the far end is up, and there they go, John.
The Guinness Book of World Records has just been broken in Cleveland. Over 1,500,000 balloons.
It was a spectacular sight and a horrible idea. When the balloons started to fall, they caused crashes on the roads. They shut down a local airport. Not to mention, Cleveland is on the coast of Lake Erie, where more than half of the balloons fell when the wind shifted, causing an environmental nightmare and complicating the search for 2 missing boaters who disappeared before the launch. Ah, the 80s. Shoot from the hip, blame the next guy. What a time. But here we are, 40 years later, and we still love us a balloon release. Birthday parties, weddings, graduations, gender reveals, holidays, you name it, we will celebrate by littering really far away. And you'd be shocked to learn how far a balloon can fly. In 2013, this boy from England did a school project where he and his classmates released 300 regular old balloons with notes attached. His was found by a girl named Millie in her backyard in southern Australia, more than 10,000 miles away. Do you know how far that is? That's like a balloon flying from here to California and then back to California, and then back here again. And then back to California. And well, that's it, but that's far. That's really far. I talked about this with a scientist from Stanford who tracks this sort of thing.
And we find them out in oceans where we're studying whales or other marine fauna. So it's not totally uncommon to find balloons even out, in the open ocean.
Now, as you probably know, litter in general is a huge problem in the ocean. And I mean that literally. This is video of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. There's an eastern patch and a western patch, and together they cover over 600,000 square miles, which is more than 12 times the size of North Carolina, of floating garbage. But it is important to note that even in that literal sea of trash, balloons stand out.
Not all debris is made equal, and balloons are among the most harmful known debris items that we find in our oceans and in our aquatic environments. They are more likely to cause harm, injury, and death to wildlife than most other types of debris.
You may remember this story from a few months ago when a young whale washed ashore in North Carolina in Emerald Isle. Scientists say it died after ingesting a plastic balloon. You can find countless stories like this from all over the world. There's an entire Facebook page dedicated to finding balloons and the animals they kill in the middle of the desert. So why isn't it illegal? Well, we have no specific laws against balloon releases here in North Carolina. Other states do. Earlier this month, intentional balloon releases were banned by the Florida legislature. So what can you do instead of balloons? Well, lots of people turn to sky lanterns. This is also beautiful to see. Every year, there's this huge festival in Utah where they release thousands and thousands. They're sold as biodegradable using paper and bamboo. And while that is true, they are biodegradable, it still takes decades for them to break down. Also, perhaps you noticed they're filled with fire. In 2020, 3 women celebrating New Year's in Germany lit lanterns that drifted into a zoo and started a fire that killed 30 animals, including apes. Fires get started all the time from these floating flames, which is why a lot of states have banned them, including North Carolina, according to the state fire code. So here are some other ideas for you. You could fly kites or light luminaries, blow bubbles or light candles. Basically anything you can clean up afterward, which does seem pretty obvious. But if this is also obvious, then why do we still do it? Well, perhaps maybe we're just not thinking about the consequences, or some people just don't care enough. And can you blame them, really? I mean, let's look at the top 10 most littered plastic items in the U.S. Now, you won't see balloons on that list. I'm pretty sure some of the other stuff will look familiar to you. Plastic film, plastic containers, plastic bags, which, by the way, if you're saying, yeah, duh, Dan, that's why I recycle those items, I've got some news for you. Most of the time, you can't. Here's Wake County's website. No plastic food containers, no plastic cups, no plastic bags. On Raleigh's website, it says, reminder, no plastic bags. They get stuck in our sorting machines. And yes, you can take your plastic grocery bags back to most stores and they will recycle them, but generally, people don't do that. According to Greenpeace, in 2021, out of the nearly 5 billion pounds of plastic waste in the U.S., less than 5% was actually recycled into something new. You remember that 12 North Carolinas worth of garbage floating around in the ocean? Do you notice more balloons in there or water bottles? Just something to consider next time you comment on a balloon release. You're right, they're bad. But if your activism stops with keystrokes, are you helping or just pretending to? Oh boy, that was a doozy. Let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts. Dan at WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.